I'd like you to give a warm welcome to Mike Henry from SponsorMaker.com. Mike founded this company to help everyone find fast forward inventing the futures is motto. All right? I'm going to just turn it over to him. Thank you.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello, everyone. Everyone. So before I even get started, I want to make an acknowledgement to the fact that I came right over to this section. I came right over and introduced myself to a couple of individuals. So I introduced myself to Marco. Hey, Marco. And Gus, right? And a couple other people over here. And I want to say thank you so much for introducing yourself to me. This is one of the most important parts of my life, and that is introducing myself to people. So people to people, right? That's it. So people to people. So anyway, my point is that I wanted to make sure that you know that I'm so excited to be here to talk to myself 19 years ago. Seriously. 19 years ago, I was 17 years old. And 19 years ago, on this videotape, now who knows what a videotape is? I have a videotape here of me running a candy store. I ran a candy store. In high school, I sold candy out of my backpack. After high school, I thought that was a great idea. Who needs college? When you're making $100 a day selling candy. But you know what? That's not a lot of money. Anyway, so I started this thing called Candyland. I told a couple people about it. The news found out about it, and the next thing you know, I'm on the front page of the Kansas City Star. Everybody sees my face, everybody sees my image. They come into my store from all over the city. You couldn't pay for the kind of advertising that I experienced at 17 years old. They came to my store, they knocked on my doors, they brought a bunch of products, right? Lesson number one for me. You can't make a lot of money selling penny candy. So I made a lot of sales that day. Probably made 50, 60, 70 bucks, overhead, rent, and all those issues. My point is that me being here talking to you today is like almost me coming back and speaking to myself and saying, hey, if I had an opportunity to do it over again, or if I could experience if I can go through the experiences that I'm going through now, and I could tell myself, sitting in an empty chair right there, this is what you should and should not do, could do, or would do, then I would so do it. So if you're interested in listening, if you're interested in understanding my story, I'll be as truthful to you as I surely can. I mean, upfront, totally 100% transparent. My journey is tough. My journey is not easy. But I've always been an entrepreneur. I've never not done entrepreneurship. 4th grade, teacher says, what do you want to be? Write it out. I was the only one in the class that wrote out entrepreneurship. Couldn't spell it, but I wrote it out. Teachers agreed with that. They allowed me to be a part of a couple of projects in the class, and after going towards 6th and 7th and 8th grade, I was part of the Boys and Girls Club, and we started a cookie company. 12th grade, by that time, I had controlled the whole school's candy market. I was selling pizzas. I was buying, I guess at the time, Little Caesars that just got started. I was buying pizzas for one price and selling it for another. Long story short, my experience as an entrepreneur starts really early. Now, let me ask you a question. I need one person to help me out and tell me what you expect to get from today. Somebody, raise your hand, anybody, tell me, what do you want to know, what do you want to get from today? Because I won't waste your time and I won't give you anything you don't want. So I want it as bad as you want it. So tell me, okay, what you got? Inspiration. Inspiration. Now, what kind of inspiration? Fantastic. Okay. Is that it? Who agrees with what she said? Perfect. Perfect.
Touch my back.
All right. So, this is a product of a lot of heartache. This company right here is a product of a lot of heartache. 4 years ago, after putting all of my energies, my efforts into building something out, I started an agency, I started an advertising agency, and it crashed. Literally crashed. I lost literally everything overnight. I mean, my clients were calling and said, "Man, you're not hearing what's going on out there in the streets. I mean, the housing market's collapsing, things are collapsing." I said, "Well, as long as you continue to pay me, I'm fine." And they were warning me, and I didn't even hear it. They warned me, "You're going to lose us as a client. We're trying to tell you, I need you to listen." Not long after they started telling me that, my revenue numbers started to drop and dwindle and dwindle and dwindle. And that exposed a very important thing. That exposed one thing, that they were too important for me. They were too important to my overall revenue, my overall business plan. Number two, that there were a lot of clients that they were carrying. They paid well. These clients didn't. These clients that did not pay well were supported by the good client, if you understand what I mean. So, I've learned so many one-word lessons, I can't even explain. One of the number one lessons that I learned is that I have to find the questions out as soon as possible. Questions. They can be also called need. It could also be called wants. The number one thing that I learned is questions. Okay, fast forward to today. I built Sponsor Maker. I ideated. The idea of Sponsor Maker came about. I had a client. She was a good client. I liked her a lot. She was my actual first advertising client. I did all the design work. I helped her with her marketing. All of a sudden, boom! She died. She passed away. I helped her with all these areas. A beautiful woman. She came from an impoverished background to a large point. One room, a one house daycare center to building a $1.5 million daycare center. And I helped her design it and put it together. I helped her design her design and marketing side. I helped her with all of her plans to build this out. And she passed away. She was 40 years old. Very, very, very young in relative, she's 40 years old is very young. She passed away. She was a good friend of mine. A week before we talked, we always had these really contentious arguments and conversations and tough conversations, and she was kind of annoying. She would call me all the time. But the week before she passed away, for the first time ever, we had a 1-hour conversation about me. This whole time I've been talking about her. This time she talked about me. She said, "You know what, Mike, you need to be able to articulate your business as fast as possible so people can get it." And I didn't understand what that meant. I'm like, well, you know what? If I could articulate my business as fast as I could, say it, then you probably wouldn't want it. Well, long story short, what she's saying is she needed an elevator pitch. I need to be able to tell you really quick, hey, look, Sponsor Maker helps you find sponsors faster. Or Sponsor Maker, our new one is Sponsor Maker helps you find the right sponsors. But at the time, I didn't understand that. I didn't understand what she meant. So basically what she meant is, Mike, you need to put together something that can really help me in a way that you're not able to help me now. You couldn't help me the way I need to be helped. So she was a very big inspirational piece for me in my life. She helped me design this. 1 week later, she passed away. That week before she passed away, I was thinking of this idea. The day I heard that she passed away on the Tuesday, I'm like, I'm crying, of course. I'm sad. That following week, Sponsor Maker was born. That was 2 years ago. Up until this point, nobody believed in my vision. Nobody believed in anything. I didn't feel like nobody ever believed in what I was doing. Nobody. Now remember, I told you 4 years ago, I was literally flat broke. Flat broke. And I was living downtown in a $2,800 a month apartment. I had at least a brand new or 2007 6 BMW 530xi. I felt like I was doing it. I mean, we spending so much money on so many different things. My average monthly expenses were close to $10,000. I had an office downtown and everything close to $10,000 to $12,000 a month. On a regular basis, I'm spending out that much money, and I didn't know where any of that money was coming in. I was spending way more than I was making. So my goal is to figure out how I could change that. But I had to go through a 3-year period where I was totally alone. My son was just born. His name is Micah. He's sitting over here in the front row. And I thought to myself, I mean, embarrassing. I thought to myself that I need to be able to get something out of this situation while I'm in it. So you're going to go through things in life that you're going to have to be sure that you get something out of while you're in it. You don't want to come on the other side of the situation and say, you know what, while I was in this situation, I whacked out. I didn't know how to handle it. So I began to I started to go to counseling. I had to go to counseling. I was mentally shook by the fact that my business just totally failed. This wasn't a round check. Nothing was going and nothing seems to work at that point. For me, one of the things, the catalyst that changed all of that was once she passed away, I used that as energy for me. I didn't tell my wife about sponsoring me for almost a year and a half, or a year. I didn't, if she knew about it, it wasn't because I sat there and I said, let me describe to you this new thing I'm starting. I mean, after I had gone through what I've gone through with Promobile, the first company that crashed, and before that was New Urban Media, which was part of Promobile, which crashed. And before that was a number of other things that I was doing that all crashed. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing. I really didn't know what I was doing. So like I said before, number one, first thing, questions. 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 The problem. That means find out the problem as fast as possible. Your goal in business is to describe and find out the problem. Period. If I can't repeat this more, what I'm telling you now, is something I did not understand at 33 years old. You have to determine the problem for the consumer, for the customer, as fast as possible. You need to ideate, think up concepts, whatever you're working on. If you're working on entrepreneurial ventures, you need to determine the problem for the consumer as fast as possible. What does that mean? That means that I would normally start a business like this. Everybody watch me closely now. I got this idea in my head, and I'm going to do it. I mean, I sold something like it before. They really liked it. And then I would go right over here, and I would start working, and I would type it out, and I would work on it, I would design it, I would put it together, I would design it, I would put it together. My wife would be like, what are you doing? I'm designing it, and I put it together. And guess what I never did? I never talked to not one customer about whether or not they would not only buy the product, but if it was even a problem for them. Because some problems are not very important to you, or at least not important enough for you to buy.
Really cool.
You may think it's a problem, but you're not going to spend your money on it. Like, name one thing that is a huge problem for you. Name one thing. Anybody? One problem. One about school, for example. Give me a problem that you have in school. Okay. So, you would say that. And nobody else in this whole room I would ever talk to, right? So I'm going to go, hey, I'm going to go to a business called procrastination.com. Procrastination.com for kids just like her, and everybody's going to love it, and everybody's going to open it up. And I open it up, and I say, hey, everybody, I got a new business called procrastination.com. You come to my new website, it's going to work. And guess what? Really, what? Now tell me why procrastination is a problem. You like watching TV? You like sleeping? You want to do other stuff that's important. So basically, you want to try to get stuff done faster, right? So So you want to be able to get your homework done at the same time, and maybe you're watching TV, then you can sleep. So maybe if I were to start something that would make sense to you, what's your problem? No. So then if I were to start to pull together the concepts that I'm hearing from you, and then I'm hearing from you, and then I'm hearing from you, I may determine that, guess what? Really, procrastination is not your issue, right? And the overall big issue would be for everybody. The big project would be for everybody. The number two issue that I've determined that I've had in my life, that in my business life, has been the fact that I did not understand a real business model. Okay? You do not have a company until you understand your business model. It's a startup. It's not a company. You don't have a company until you understand your business model. Are you guys entrepreneurs? Who's entrepreneurs in this place? So, let me tell you, so watch this. Out of this whole class, out of this whole room, you're an entrepreneur, right? Awesome. Who wants to be an entrepreneur? Okay. Is that the point of the program? Okay. So, the big point that I'm trying to make is that you being an entrepreneur, and I'm glad you raised your hand when you did, because it shows a lot, and I'll show you why in a minute. But you, and overall, and the point is that we as entrepreneurs, trying to become entrepreneurs, trying to be better at entrepreneurship, we need to understand that business models are important. Business models are important. Having a business model means you have a route, a way, a path, a street to finance, money, client. If you don't have that, see, watch, one person in this room gonna get it. I'm just saying, maybe everybody gets it, but the point I'm trying to say is this is what I'm learning. You don't have a business, if you don't have a business model, you don't have a business. You have a startup. And until you figure that out, until you figure out your business model, you will not have a company. So, what I've used as a business model template for myself is the following. Is that I have to determine the need. I have to make sure that there is a barrier to entry. So need, barrier to entry. I have to make sure that there is control. I'll explain what this means. I have to make sure that the business is scalable. And I have to make sure that there's time involved in the business, or that my time is not too tied up into the company. So anyway, Sponsor Maker fits those things exactly. I'll tell you why. So Sponsor Maker, what we decided to build, what I've built is, and what I've built with the help of my business partner, who all of a sudden came along and helped finance the whole thing, which I just thank you so much. What my initial concept was we were going to go out and we said, look, hey, events like Lollapalooza need sponsors, right? They need sponsors to make it happen. Corporate sponsorship is very important for events like Lollapalooza or any other major event. So there were a number of different types of problems that they would have as part of their business, which would include the sponsorship sales rep, the person in charge of going out there finding the sponsorships. They have to do a lot of work. They have to go out there and they have to print the documents, they have to send the documents, they have to make the phone calls, they have to do a lot of those issues. They have to handle a lot of those issues. So what we've done is put together a product where you can actually literally go in and say, look, I want to talk to Target. And we have already gone out and spoke with Target, or we pulled together, theoretically, our goal is that we were going out, we were putting together the information for Target. We got there, who's in charge of sponsorships, what do you want, when do you want it, what would you be willing to sponsor, and what would you not be willing to sponsor. So basically the company, all they have to do is just go in here and say, yeah, I would love to talk to Target. Oh, and maybe Rite Aid might be a good, CVS or Walgreens may be a good sponsor. So let me talk to them too. And at that point, we would say, now that you want to talk to these companies, what would you like for us to do for you? What would you like for me to build for you? What would you like for us to do for them? Let me see. Would you like for us to send out a brochure? Would you like for us to send out a one-page mailer or a custom product? So you as a sponsorship sales agent, now all of a sudden, now I have a very big point to this. You as a sales agent would all of a sudden get the opportunity to expedite your sponsorship event. Guess what happened? The minute that I opened up the door for the company, want to guess? Nothing happened. Nobody came. Doors wouldn't be together. I mean, we opened the company on a Monday, and on Tuesday we determined, oh, we got a problem. Why? One word, problem. We did not go out and talk. If you don't get anything else today, the number one thing that you have to do is question everything. Question. Problem. Find out the consumer's problem. Find out the real problem. And that comes from talking to everybody in this room. That means that you have to do problem interviews. That's what it's called. Problem interviews for everybody in this room. Everybody. If you have a company, you have a clothing company, right? Okay. Now, I don't know if they like your style. I don't know if they love it. They can create t-shirts or whatever you're building out. But you got to talk to everybody in this room to determine the problem, right? So we open up the company, and there's a good end to the story. We opened up the company, and nobody came. Nobody was there. Nobody came to the front door. We never talked to the client. We never talked to our potential client. We thought we understood it because I'm in the middle of it. And not only that, a couple people said they liked it. 4 or 5 people would say they liked it. I love this product. This would be great. I would love it. I would use it. I would buy it. I would do whatever. That did not help me. Didn't help me. So what I determined, what I found out is that this company was going to be scrapped. Not scrapped, but we were going to go and do it the right way. What we decided to do we decided to start asking the questions. So we put together a problem interview, and we went out and talked to 88 companies. And as we were talking to these companies, we determined and we found out that out of 88, these are the biggest events in Chicago, the biggest events, the top events. They all said pretty much the same thing. We determined right from the start, that they wanted to find the right sponsor. They don't care about you doing this work for them, because that's a number 5 problem for them. It's not a number 1 problem. So me determining your number 1 problem is really my key component, what I need to be doing, what I need to do. But if I build a product for your number 5 problem, your number 6 problem, you understand what I'm trying to say? They're not exactly. I just saved you guys a lot of money, so you can send that check to me.
Let me feel my hand.
If you listen to what I'm saying, that questions are the number 1 thing that have changed my whole life. Now, what I've determined, what we're building now, our new product, is awesome. It's robust, and it fits within what the consumers want to buy. What they want is they want an analytic report. So we're building out right now, we are Match.com for the sponsorship business. So what that means is, see how you got it? You get it? So all of a sudden now, what we're going to do is we're going to build a compatibility report for our clients, and we're going to send these out. But let me give you something that I think that's really important for me. When we look at the iPad, for example, this was the this was the one product they said would never get made. I mean, 5 years ago, 6, 7 years ago or so, the tablet was kind of like that product that everyone talked about. Some folks did it. Apple tried to do it a while ago. But at the end of the day, this is the kind of product they would never. But what they determined was, what they found out is that, you know what? Everybody's kind of being trained to use tablets now. So the smartphone has really changed the way that people stand and walk. They literally are bent over nowadays. So people are really literally using an iPad now. Let's go ahead and decide to build this thing out. But they had to start asking a lot of questions. So questions are really key for me. And at this point, I'm at a point right now in my business life where I've told you that it's been extremely tough to be an entrepreneur. Extremely tough. Financially, it's very tough. It's very stressful. And to me, it's extremely lonely. So the incubator has really helped me out a lot. 1871. I've met people there. I've getting opportunities to do different things like even this. You know, the incubator has really helped me out. 1871 is a good program, and you guys should, if anybody has a startup that they're looking to bring, consider joining 1871. And once you get in, you determine, you'll see what I mean by that. There's a lot of people like yourself that are smart and ready to communicate their business designs to you, their ideas to you, and you can help them. I felt like an alien walking around. Nobody seemed to understand what I thought entrepreneurship meant. Until I went to 1871, and everybody's kind of like me. I mean, everybody's starting something, everybody's designing something, everybody's building product. A lot of folks are doing great things. So where we are now is that we're now part of the Lean Launch Challenge. We're starting, if you ever heard of the Lean Startup, we are converting our company into that type of business model, which means as fast as possible, ideate the idea, build out a better product faster, ask questions as fast as possible, have a solution interview as fast as you can, and then put the product out there in a minimal way, as minimal as possible, as fast as you can. It doesn't make sense to build something out and take forever to build it out, like I used to do, and then all of a sudden come up and find out that it wasn't what people wanted. My father was my age when I'm 36. My father was my age when you were 17 or 17 years old, right? So he had me when he was 19 years old. He was an entrepreneur. He tried a lot of stuff. I grew up in a household of entrepreneurs. My grandfather was an entrepreneur. But their versions of entrepreneurship totally different than what I am experiencing now. Some of you guys may have the same experience I had, that you don't even know what you don't know until you go out and start trying to find out stuff. So with that said, I would like to take some questions, if any questions at all, about business, about entrepreneurship, about my journey. I'm open book, ask me anything, it doesn't matter.
What was the first real company?
First real incorporation was New Urban Media. I started a company called New Urban Media, and what we were going to do was, I was around 22, 23 at the time, and we were going to go out and provide samples on the street. So it was a marketing business, and I was reading about this guy who actually started a company similar to that, and our goal was to actually provide like a blast, right? We would go out and we would provide samples on the street for product from main companies. But guess what? I designed a beautiful website. This was 1997 and 8. This is a great website. This thing was great. And never talked to a client. You keep asking those kind of questions, I was just telling you, because guess what's going to happen? I'm going to keep saying that the number one thing is talking to people. That's it. Really, that's it. I hope. Go ahead.
What are the training programs
Huh?
The daily problems that you face at work.
So they have varied and changed over time. Before having children, my daily problems were totally different. I didn't spend as much time interpersonally. At that time, I was just grinding, and working. My daily problems now include not having enough time to do the things I think I need to do. But what I'm learning is that I don't have to do everything I think I need to do. You know, there are some things that don't have to be done. Some of the other problems that I'm having right now is just trying to find enough people to interview. That's really what I would do for the rest of my life in terms of business, is to interview people and to determine their problems. You know, like for example, what's the number one asset that you need when you are putting together a hamburger company? What would make a great hamburger? Meat. I'm here. The bread. Quality ingredients. Good sauce. What you say? Price.
The materials.
Huh?
The materials.
Materials. All these sound great. I'm getting hungry. Stand up, sir.
Sit up. Sit up.
You need the man. You need the man. Second thing. This is $20 right here. This is $20 in my hand right now. I have $20 in my hand right now. I will exchange this with anybody in the classroom, anybody in this room right now for $1. Raise your hand. Okay, sir. Stand up. Okay. Everybody else who raised their hand, after he raised his hand instantly. Boom! He saw it. He saw it. Value. So, we have to determine the value. We have to determine the demand. Demand is key, but value is so important. He saw the value in, oh, you know what? I would be willing to exchange $20. Once he rose his hand, and you saw him do that, everybody who saw either him do that or thought to themselves that, wait, let me see if there's a catch to this, which is a normal reaction. As soon as he rolled his hand and everybody else's hands went up, that's demand. Things become infinitely more valuable when there's demand. It's no demand when I put $20 on the street, folded up, and nobody sees it, and everybody's concerned about bending over to get it. But the minute that he picks it up and puts it in his pocket, everybody sees it and everybody wants it. Nobody wants property 5 miles from here because of what they think the neighborhood's like. But the minute that Target said they're moving in, everybody wants it. So you gotta make sure that you find demand, and you gotta make sure that you understand the value, because that value is very important. That's what this business is trying to capture. It's trying to capture the demand and at the same time trying to make sure that we capture the value. The value is, we're providing a service to a client base that would spend all day long trying to figure out how to do what we do in a matter of days or seconds. One day we're going to build this product out that's going to be done in seconds. We're going to be able to tell you in seconds that Nike would love to be a sponsor of XYZ event. That's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to build. Nobody cares about it right now, but the moment that we make it happen for Lollapalooza, everybody's going to want us. That's how it's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. Questions?
Is Sponsor Maker your own company?
Sponsor Maker is my only company. I have a consulting business that I do other work. Let me tell you why. Because at this point right now, nobody said that this was let me just say this. Let me rephrase it. Sponsor Maker is my only startup. Because I don't really have a company. We know what the business model is. Right? If I said that the business model is king, and until I determine what the business, University of Chicago figured out the business model. They get people in here to become students. They know how to do that very, very well. They can spend $1 and they can make $20 from the students. That's just how it works. That's the game. They figured it out. They figured out their business model. I'm trying to determine how to build this into a business model that works. Questions? Questions? That's all I'm doing. I'm trying to determine what the customer is willing to buy. So I'm asking these questions, and I'm building out as fast as possible a minimum viable product, an MVP. A very small product that they'd be willing to spend money on. If they spend $1 with me, I figured out something. I figured it out. Good point. That's a great question. So, Green, hey, how are you? My name is Michael, getting responsive maker. You got a couple seconds, I can ask you a couple questions about what you're doing. And I would love to talk about my business, but how are you currently getting sponsors now? How do you currently handle this now? How much time do you spend doing it? And all these questions are all added. So what's your number one problem? Here's my number one question I ask. So if there was anything you could change about your procrastination problem, what would it be? And then they ask these questions like crazy. They love it. They love somebody who's interested in talking to them. At this point, none. We opened the door, our business pretty much tanked. We spent $50,000 building this site out. Y'all don't understand what I'm trying to say. I'm begging you to get this. You gotta know, this is a major situation. You spend a lot of money. My business partner did anyway. I mean, I feel bad, but the point is that we didn't talk to the client. It's a sad case, y'all. I hope this is inspiring to somebody. Go ahead, I'll give it. Go ahead. I saw you raising your hand.
Can you build a website where you hire people?
That's a great question. Guess what? I could design my own website, but for some reason I was playing the Mark Zuckerberg game. Or, no, not even that. I was playing hey, I'm a startup, you know? So let me go out there and let me make it harder than it should be. My current website, I designed it. I designed every other website I've ever done. And I can do it. I got this technical ability to do it. So at this point right now, I'm designing my own thing. But when this thing became a reality for me, I thought to myself that it needed to be better. And that's another rule I got. I'm not trying to impress not a mere soul in this room. I learned that. I didn't know that before. Before, I had to have an office, and I had to have the car, and it ain't gonna happen. Get that. It ain't gonna happen now, unless my clients are willing to pay for it for me, and then take it back when they fire me. Because they all do, eventually. Essentially, and eventually, something happens where they no longer want to use my service. Unless they're willing to take it back, I'm not gonna spend my money to do it. I spent 50 grand trying to build out something nobody wanted. Go ahead. Good question. I think they figured out their business model faster, even if they stumbled upon it. Like, there are 50 things that have to happen for the business model to work. And if that company figured it out a little sort of like Welcome, for example, they figured out a lot of different things, different nuances. Spot Hero, for example, which is a parking startup. They figured out a lot of things, but guess what? They started in Wrigleyville, walking door to door, asking folks, hey, can I use your garage? Your personal garage to park cars whenever there's an event? So they literally started manually. A lot of these companies that you see out there today are very, very manual startups. I didn't do that. I decided from day one, let's automate the concept of bringing in the sponsor information. So all this technology behind the scenes, which is a lot, it's a lot of technology behind this stuff. It's a lot. We have coders and designers, and we have these big fancy meetings, great big white offices, and we come to find out that it didn't start right. Question?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
At what point did you change your idea?
I've changed it right now, as I mentioned before. In a week from today, go to sponsormaker.net. We have an MVP that's going to be launching. And we're going to do a lot of stuff different. You'll see a very big difference in this site versus the spot.net. And we're going to drive traffic from Google AdWords and AdSense. We're going to do a lot of things like Unbounce, which is an A/B testing thing for the folks that get that. And we're going to do a lot of different things that change the way that we do it. You'll see. It's going to be great.
So far you're saying that it has been successful, you're changing it?
Yes. We're changing it. I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to give up, but I am going to change. I'm not going to do the same thing and get the same results. I am going to change.
But we need to have a front page.
Huh?
But we need to have a front page.
What can you do to overcome failure? To make sure that when you're in the failure, that you learn as much as you could. And that you're not taking cliches from folks that are telling you the positives only. But you're looking at how folks are doing things. And then you're determining how you can do it in a way that's better next time. That's all you can really do. Like, nobody knew how to walk when they first come out. But I believe that, I believe that you fall a couple times and you learn from that mistake. That's all I can do. That's all I really can do and learn to do. I learned to do. Go ahead. Yes, that's a great question. So I'm going to literally say, hey, $20 for $1. That's how we want to do it. From the first get-go, we're going to go in and buy so much value. So much value. Our first clients are going to be just royally treated well. Our goal is this, is to continue to treat everybody the exact same way while taking away parts and pieces that are causing the slow up, that are causing it to take longer, or cost more for us to provide that same service. You get what I'm trying to say? So I'm going to charge the same price, but I'm going to figure out a way to remove all the barriers out of the way, all those speed bumps. Good question, we're going to use Google. And then we're going to try to figure if we could attach ourselves to websites that are similar, like BizBash, and a couple other big event sites. And we're going to see if we can get Google. Our main goal is to try to figure out what our cost of acquisition, how much it costs for us to get a client, in relationship to our lifetime value of the client. What that means is, how much money will this person spend over the lifetime with my company? So if they spend $500 with me, and it costs me $250 to get them, who says that I should continue to keep their business open? Good guy. That's right. If it costs me $500 to get them and I only make $200 lifetime from them, who says I should shut it down? Thank you. See, you won't be like me, who rushes to their savings accounts and extract to pay to keep it open, or credit to keep it open, or any of that. To be real, you shut it down or you figure it out, because at that point, anybody gonna be able to help you. The money's gone. It is a big deal. I mean, that's just what I'm experiencing right now. I don't desire, at one point in my life, I desire to make millions of dollars. At this point, I want a business model. That's all I care about is a business model that I designed. I can build a business model from a franchise, but I'm talking about something that I designed. All I want is a business model at this point. Question?
You said that you kind of already have businesses. Is your first business that profitable?
You know what? I made a lot of money in my other businesses. And I've learned, who watched Shark Tank? You know the shark, what's his name, the main shark, Mr. Wonderful? Kevin O'Leary. Kevin O'Leary said something, and I pick up bits and pieces, so if this video ever gets out, there's bits and pieces of everything that I've learned in my life as part of what I say. So if I'm not giving you credit, whoever you are in the world, I'm sorry. Kevin O'Leary said one thing that was extremely smart. He said, if you have successes in the past, versus dwelling on the successes and trying to figure out how you can relive those successes in your brain, stop. Make a trophy. This dude literally has trophies on his table, his chairs. Make a trophy of that past success. This one trophy, for example, was, oh, I made $300,000 with this one client. If that's what keeps you up at night and you're so excited about it, make a trophy about it. Make a trophy of it. Look at it on the wall, and then move on to your next thing. So, you know, as far as the money goes, I mean, I would love to make lots of money, but I mean, I'm 30, I'll be 37 in a couple days. My goal now is to have an awesome family, awesome son and daughter, awesome, you know, lifestyle, putting them through great schools, spending lots of quality time with them. That's what my goal is today in a business. So. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But you know why? I mean, as an entrepreneur, I guess we all are super excited about the things that we're working on. But I can say for the very first time in my whole business life, I'm going to be able to attack and talk to a consumer that has said that they had a real major problem. Hey, so you had a problem with procrastination. This is a product that we built for that. If you're not even interested, guess what? I talked to 40 people and 25 of them have the same exact problem, so I know there's something there. So I'm going to keep building in the area. That's what I'm going to do. My new rule is, as I said before, if my customer acquisition cost, my lifetime value cost don't match, they don't work, I'm shutting it down as soon as possible. I am not going to persist in bankruptcy. I'm not. I'm done. I'm done. I'm so excited about starting something new that me shutting down a bad one is no problem for me. At this point, at one point, it was so hard to talk about it. As I drive my 96 Honda now, right? I had a BMW. I'm excited. I got a 96 Honda. I'm so happy with it. Wow. I got a car. You know what I mean? I don't owe anybody anything for it. It's totally cash free. My goal is to not be strapped. That's the worst. You know what? That is very interesting. There's a website out there called Angel.co. And it's a great company, it's a great website. And on that website there are different competitors for industries. And the minute that we opened up, we went to that site and we saw that we were competitors. Within a couple of weeks after we started, Sponsorify.com opened up. They have a great startup in San Francisco. They've already got investors. We got investors too. But they got investors, I'm talking institutional fund investors, but they got $1 million to run it. They're in debt for $1 million from day one, right? Essentially. And which is fine. I mean, I guess that's what's going to work for them. And their thing is they're going out to other startups and they're saying, hey, you have a product and like Airbnb, for example, and this company is willing to kind of like mesh with you. Would you be willing to kind of like mix and mingle? And this is their sponsorship product. And there's Sponsor Hub, and there's a couple others, but there's not a lot of sponsorship, quote unquote, products. Do entrepreneurs need to be bigger risk takers than employees? Well, so an employee, so when you say that, here's what an employee means to me. Employee means to me that you are tethered to your company, right? Okay, so that's part of my overall plan, is to not be tethered to my company. Because you don't have a business when you are tethered to your company, you have a job. So you have to figure out NEST, which is my acronym for need, barrier to entry, scale, control, and time, as I mentioned earlier. So those are the kind of companies that I'm involved in, that there's a need, the barrier to entry is super high, nobody can come in this room and go build this for $200 or buy a distributor kit and do that. You know, I control the business. I'm in the driver's seat. I'm not in the passenger seat. I'm not in somebody else's car. That's what that means. I'm not in somebody else's car, and they control my destiny. I control my own. That there is a scalability in the business itself that can grow, and it can grow as fast as I want it to grow, and that I control my time. So, this to me is one of the highlights in the endings. I'm going to say this because at the end of the day, you guys don't know what this means, but I'll say this. This is for me almost like the ending of a season that seemed to me to be bleak. This conversation about entrepreneurship and this, me standing here is a testimony to the fact that I'm moving out of an area that didn't seem to work.
5 years from now, where do you see yourself being?
If the numbers work out, my cost of acquisitions is just driving to the floor, and my lifetime value is shooting to the moon. I want to build out an analytic database, big data company that will quickly analyze for the marketing community very, very intrinsic things like return on investment. This is a technical concept, but you spend $10 on advertising with me, did it work? So if you kind of like look back over my life experiences, I had an advertising business. Before that, I tried to have a sampling company, and now I have this company based around marketing. So, but everything that happened before then was always based around, hey, does it work? Did it work for my business? So return on investment, I spend $10 with you, then I get my $10 plus back. So I would love to build a company out that would help you analyze that through something like this as a byproduct of that. But you know, I'm kind of like looking at this at 3-month intervals. 5 years out, I would love to have an awesome family. All the kids are growing up strong and smart, and I'm able to pay all the bills and handle all the financial things. All my employees are happy and everything. All that's working out. So, but I would love to build something out that's cool. I would like to build it to a $2 million, $3 million company and make sure I provide the stability for my family. I'm not that gung-ho about selling things before I establish the value in, right? Like I have tons of offers to invest in money. I've had investors willing to invest in my company, and I've turned them down. Because they were valuing my company at way less than I thought it's worth. Even this. Anybody? The biggest threat to small business today small businesses are very unique. They have a great opportunity to stay small and to stay small and to work in a small niche. But if you don't extract the value, determine the demand, speak to your customers, I think that's a huge threat. That's a huge threat. And here's why. Walmart's a great company. Walmart's a great company. I mean, it's a great company. I mean, for the point. But what's not so cool is when they move into a neighborhood and shut down companies. Now, the reason that kind of happens is because the companies that are in that community can't beat the pricing. People like money. People like to go out and spend money. But there's a couple of companies out there, very small companies, co-ops, and very cool companies that you can't pull off. You cannot extract from the community. There are some very long-standing hardware stores that you just couldn't shut down without the community going up in flames, right? Or just totally bad. So when you're like determining the demand and trying to figure out, ask questions to the consumer about what you really need now, you're going to lose your business. Because this thing is really competitive, and I'm not taking it personally. It's extremely competitive being in business. So if you don't know what your customers really want, I'm going to find out. I'm going to really try to find out now in my new phase.
Go ahead.
Do you think the stock market is a threat to your business? Say if we went into another recession, do you think companies should start closing down the union to help you in your business?
I don't think so. I would think that the bigger threat to my company is to sponsorships would be are based around a shrinking marketing budget per se. But if your marketing budget is shrinking, another company's is growing. So I got to try to determine where this customer is. I got to ask another question. Okay.
Mike, these guys,
Da.
these students are pulling together business plans as a project for participating in this workshop. What advice would you give to them?
I love business plans. But the moment that the business plan hits the air, and the moment the business plan has to execute, talking to clients, it's almost going to be worthless. Now, let me just say this. I've written lots of business plans. I physically have written lots of business plans. And I've learned just recently that product is more important than plans. This is the truth. I got a degree in entrepreneurship. My first degree was in entrepreneurship. And that's what we did in college. We wrote business plans. But the minute that I went out and I executed upon that first plan, it died. Right? The business plan had to be changed. So I'm now learning that product is important. I went to the University of Missouri. Hey, yeah. So you going to Columbia? Okay. How you doing? Okie dokie.
Okay, I asked the students, you've asked me a lot of questions this afternoon on putting together, presenting a business plan. How do you present a business plan to a new client?
I'm not necessarily presenting a business plan to my client per se. I'm presenting a business plan. I'm presenting, but what the client is getting is the result of my business plan. If you think about it intrinsically or subjectively. But what I'm presenting to my client is a result of my business plan. I'm presenting my business plan to my investors and or my suppliers or my vendors and whatsoever.
So the business plan is your introduction into people who are interested in your product.
So, like another big thing that I started doing was I stopped doing business plans per se, the 90-page business plans per se, and I started trying to figure out who I want to talk to and writing one-page business plans. Because people are busy. So I'm writing out this one-page business plan. In fact, there's a book at Barnes & Noble you can buy. It's about it's called One-Page Business Plan, a one-page plan.
Proposal.
And I learned that there were like 4 or 5 things within a business plan that people all want. So I just started writing those out and shipping those out. Has it ever worked? Yeah, I've gotten deals because I put together a one-page business plan. But shipping out a multi-page business plan, I've never had success with. But by the time I put it out there 100%, like for example, all the performance numbers and all the numbers in it are mostly made up. If you haven't talked to your client, it doesn't matter. Talking to your clients is very important. So if you haven't talked to your clients and you don't know what the real numbers are, now, let me tell you what my business plan looks like nowadays. The reason why I would even put together a business plan now is because I got an MVP, a minimum viable product that's already existing. It's ready to go. It's already in the marketplace. And I already got clients. And those clients are already paying me. And the reason I put together that performance marketing numbers is because I have real numbers to back it up. Go to my bank account, look at that number, and you'll see all the numbers working together.
Okay, 3 more questions. 2 more questions. Any last questions? Okay.
Oh, sorry. The question was, is what does my company have to offer that is that much better than my competitors? At this point right now, we're still trying to determine that. I think that what we're doing is way more tangible. I'm not a huge fan of like the Facebook, Twitter, for example, platform for very offline type business models that have existed way before this, for example. Like direct mail or to mail me a letter is never going to, you could never export that to another country, for example. I believe that there are some things you just got to do with your hands, right? And shipping out a proposal to somebody is a very offline, go to print this out, mail this off, and get this into somebody's hands through FedEx. Versus, hey, let me send you a tweet. Would you be willing to sponsor my event? Who's going to be willing to spend $50,000 on a sponsorship over a tweet? Or would you be willing to go to Facebook and do something, you know, there's some offline things that have to be done. Great. Yeah. Out of all the things I've learned, the number one thing is case studies. The number one thing is when a client uses my product and then they find success, I'm going to record that. And I'm going to put it on a very nice looking sheet or on my website, and I'm going to send that out to everybody, let everybody know that they love my procrastination software. They love it. And this is what she said about it when she got it. And she absolutely found success with it. So I plan to definitely, that's huge. Testimonials are great.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.